Welcome to our winter 2026 adventure in Wales. Since our last trip, we've added a big upgrade, a Jeep Wrangler JK to our fleet. This means we can go off-roading ourselves now, as well as the organised trips that we already do, with Glass, Yorkshire and the Jap 4x4 groups. For this trip, we've based ourselves in a beautiful seaside cottage in Fairborn, just a short drive from Dogethly. That's right in the heart of some of the best Welsh green laning routes. Day one kicked off with a few challenging lanes, which were technical. Then came day two, where we tackled Horseshoe Lane, which is also known as Bastard Lane, and Happy Valley. Somehow both felt tougher than we ran them last April. And on day three we wrapped things up with Pig Lane. This turned out to be every bit as demanding as anything we've ever done. Settle in and enjoy the ride. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.
Our first day was lanes that started actually in Dogethly, right next to the petrol station. They were fantastic lanes, about 8 or 9 of them in total, but it was pouring rain all day, so being softies, we didn't actually get out of the cars much to do much filming. And when we were out of the cars, we were normally spotting each other, and seeing there's only 2 of us, we couldn't film and spot at the same time very much. So this is just one small bit from the first day, but there were some really excellent routes in there, which we covered. Some up really high and some very difficult ones. So it was a good first day, challenging day to see us through, and we didn't finish until it got dark, more or less. It was really good. So then the second day we started with Horseshoe Lane, as you say, is Bastard Lane, and this is our new car. So this is Robbie, the Jeep, which now means I get to drive a car as well. Now, if you've seen any of other videos, you'll realise that I hardly ever get to do any of the driving. So is Chris. So there's a steep learning curve. You'll notice at times and some black smoke comes out the back. It only happens under when it's in low ratio and under strain, and I've checked that out, and it's actually a bit too rich of a fuel mixture. So that's going to the garage next week to get that sorted. So that's Robbie, and then this is Chris in the Shogun, he's obviously experienced driver by now, and he's used to this car, so he's used to how this one handles. So he's going down some of the lanes here in Bastard Lane. We've done this route twice before, and boy, was it much harder this time than ever before. I mean, I know it's a lot of rain, so therefore there was a lot of big puddles. And again, as I mentioned, unfortunately, the really hardest bits we haven't filmed purely because we had to spot each other. But this one I'm filming here, and here trying to keep up on that bank, trying to keep that wheel. And you'll notice as Chris goes, if you look at the embankment on the right hand side there, the wheel's actually mainly the back one, but the front does a bit. It actually knocks it down. So it there you go. You can see all the earth coming up there. So it's made that even wider. And I've got to do that next. And so there's an even wider gap between the two. So that's him coming around there. So he's done that bit, and this is me doing the same bit. And you can actually see now that tracks where Chris had just been. So he's knocked that down quite a bit. And I have much smaller tyres than Chris has on his. I've put on some stock Rubicon tyres on here, so the 2025 Rubicon tyres. So they're just stock ones. Chris has got larger tyres on his, and that's Chris is trying to film and spot at the same time, bless him, and telling me to get over because otherwise I'd have gone down that side. So this is back to Chris going down a bit here. And what was quite fun about this lane was the cars were going from side to side all the time. So there's a big dip one side, and there's a big dip to the other side, and some of the water things were a lot deeper than we'd first think they'd be as you're going through them. This bit here was actually really scary. So he goes down here, get the angle. So I'm just stood on the side there. So he's trying to do one, and I'm attempting to spot. I realised he wasn't going to make that. That's the back wheel at that time. So I turned him to reverse back a little bit. And once he's reversed back, just he's come at a bit of a different angle now. So the only way is to go down this bit. So you can see how far this right wheel is off the ground there. And this is the traction control. You see how that then stops it spinning? So even though the other wheel's spinning, that one isn't. And that's how the traction control takes part. So he's got that wheel down now. But what you can't see is the back one on the left-hand side is really high up in the air. As you can see, it's nowhere near the ground. You'll see it come down in a minute or two as it touches down. But you can see how high up that was. And because I watched him do that in the Shogun, which is a very stable car actually, knowing that full well after he was doing it, I had to do it in the Jeep, in Robbie, as we've called the Jeep. So although it was interesting to watch him, it wasn't too keen knowing that I have to do it straight after him. I think I got Chris to spot me on that one so much, so we weren't filming so much. So this is doing a slightly different bit. It was quite interesting, the two cars, because actually with this car, we chose very different lines to go down. So it taught us quite a lot about, you know, what this car can do that the other car can't, and vice versa. So there was no way I'd have gone down the way Chris went down that bit there, because the car would have just toppled over. It's much too top heavy, should we call it, you know, because of that race suspension. So I just couldn't do anything that would mean it toppling like that. But actually, because of the raised nut, it was easier sometimes to just go straight down some of those really big hills. So we did do different lines in the two cars, which was very interesting, and we were learning as we were going. So Chris has never spotted before. As I said, I'm trying to get him to film as well as spot as he's doing it, and you can see by his hand signals on the side he's actually doing a good job. You can see, despite what he thinks of the time, I was listening to him and making the changes. He accused me at times of not listening to him, but I definitely do. So this is Chris going down another bit just here. All this is on Bastard Lane. It took us at least 3 hours to do it. You know, I used to think it was just a bit of a lean and a waterfall, but it's a lot more to it now that so much more has been washed away. And the slopes, you can see his back wheel sliding down as he goes down that little bit there, and now the front wheel trying to pick up some form of grip as he goes round, and down he goes. It was good being the second car all the way down, because it meant I got an opportunity to see how Chris managed the obstacles before I had to do them myself, and that meant if there was anything that I wanted to do differently from him, I could do. And obviously, but you can see how high up where Chris has stood right at the top bit there. That roof is actually detachable. It comes off. Actually, on the last day, we did have the first bit of it off. So I'm really looking forward to the summer when we can actually get the roof off. There is a roll cage on it, I hasten to add. Not being that machine for definite, that roll cage. But it's got a very, very big bump on the front. It's got a winch on the front there, but a very big bumper. And these, you can see I'm right on the edge there. And I've muted the sound, but Chris was actually suggesting I move over a bit more to the left just there. So I get that wheel up on the side there. So trying to keep one wheel up on the side. I'm very nervous of doing that, because it now means that I'm at a real angle. And when you're in that car, it actually feels as if it's just about to topple to the right hand side there as it goes. As it happened, the stuff we did on the third day was much, much worse than this. But because this was the first time I'd been in it, I was nervous with this. But by day 3, I was getting very used to the way it was leaning over, and it would actually cope with very, very steep angles. But again, unfortunately, a lot of the day 3 stuff, the really serious stuff, we didn't film so well because we were helping each other spot as we were going. But this is Chris, still in the Bastard Lane, but this is Chris. You can see the angle he's coming at here. You know, that's got to be, what, 35 degree angle nearly. But it's actually, I think yes, he did this bit. He measured it and was, I think he said it was 26 degrees on the thing inside the car. Because I made a comment, you know, that I'm surprised he had time to read the dial in the car rather than concentrate on driving the vehicle. That's why he's just telling me just there. Got up to 26 degrees. So then he moves on down. Oh, and you can see what a topsy-turvy. Look at that. That was bouncing around. And that car is a stable car. And there were quite a few of these. I haven't put too many of them in, but there was quite a few where he was at these angles. So I just wanted to do this one from a slightly lower down angle, just to show you how much of a lean there really is when you can get down below at the right level. So I'm holding that camera completely horizontally, and you can see the angle of the car as it goes. And also as it dips down, and that's what makes them bounce when there's suddenly a bigger dip. That's the bounces bits, that are the scary bits. And here's me going down one of the lanes. I said often that wherever possible I tried to go absolutely straight, because I really didn't want to tip to the sides. So whenever there was an option of the angle, I always try and hit them straight on and straight down or straight up. So that black smoke, it was only actually when I was in the low ratio doing these particular bits. And there was loads of water on this lane as well. And you never actually knew until you went through each one how deep they were. So some of them quite surprised us, because they're just puddles which aren't normally there. And they can be quite soft underneath, so obviously you've got to be careful that you can keep a bit of momentum going. But it was like this. It was, I mean, it's an excellent lane, is Bastard Lane, but it was like this the whole way along it. Because the rain had stopped from the day before, we were happy to actually be out and filming it as we were going. So we were spotting for each other and filming at the same time where we possibly could. So again here, I'm just trying to take it absolutely straight if I can. Up and over, but at times sometimes you have to turn. And as you can see, that was quite a bit deeper than I was first expecting it to be. So I went over the number plate, which is actually quite high up on that car. That was Chris telling me to go over. And this is the famous waterfall. So we decided I'd go first on this one. Just purely because I thought the Pro Triangle, this one might be a bit easier. Yes, as you can see, it goes through the exhaust is down a bit on it, and it just did catch just in the back of the exhaust. But for Chris then we put some rocks just there on the right hand side. So I know he has done this before, but it does get very close to the maximum approach angle for this car. But as he does it, so we're hoping that those rocks would just raise it that little bit. So, and they're quite heavy. I carried those quite away from the other side to put them there for him, and try and direct him down towards it. But obviously I was filming at the same time, and you'll see that actually when he gets to the rocks, which I'd so carefully laid for him, he actually misses them. So he goes to the right of them just, but you can't see it all when you're in the car. You do need a proper spot in front of you to tell you that. A little bit of a slide down, but the nose doesn't touch at the front at all. That's really good. But again, the back wheel just misses those rocks as well. And then unfortunately what happens is the rock catches on the back of the car. So that was a Bastard Lane. I mean, even the bit after that was quite hard. But then we went from Bastard Lane all on the same day to Happy Valley. This is Chris's favourite one. It was getting a little bit later because this is January, so obviously it's dark by 5 o'clock for definite. So we didn't do much filming, unfortunately. But on this particular bit of water, we did actually film it. And as you can see, Chris goes into it there. He didn't have any of his diff locks on or anything else there, or centre diff. All that steam is just steam coming from the heat of the brakes and everything he's been using. But he just flicks into the centre diff lock. That's what he does there. As you can see, it pours him out nice and easily and sensibly. And for once ever, he didn't splash me, which he used to. Now I'm not used to this then, so he's filming me there. And oh dear, he did actually get quite wet feet and everything from that. As you can see, just from his foot there, which was purely accidental, of course, as you can imagine, and not trying to get any revenge from all the times he's drenched me before. And this is going down another part of Happy Valley. I mean, one part of Happy Valley, the lean was so much that we had to sort of stand on the rock sliders of the cars and lean out ourselves as much as we possibly could to try to get it so it didn't fall off, which is quite exciting. But there was no way you could turn around on this lane whatsoever. So because you couldn't turn around, that was it. So this is the third day now. So this is Pig Lane. I just walked up this little bit of Pig Lane, just we're fairly near the beginning of it. Just to sort of show you what it's like. It was actually even rockier further down. You'll see that at the end as I come back down it. But this was just what the lane's like nearly the whole way. It presents different challenges. It's actually my favourite lane, and it did take us the whole day to do effectively. You have to go all the way to the top, and then even at the top it's hard to turn around to come back again. You can turn around, but it's quite hard. But yeah, the whole way it's a challenge. There's no easy bit of it. You can't sort of like relax for 2 or 3 minutes as you go in, because it's all sorts of different stuff. There's roots, and there's roots sticking out the sides and edges. So you've got to be careful they don't go into the sidewall of your car. They've got the dips, and you've got what I call a cross axle, which I don't know if that's the right word for it, but when one goes down and the other goes up, and then vice versa, that's happening a lot. So this is Chris fairly near the beginning of Pig Lane, doing the first bit of it all. Again, and this is me coming behind him. So we just took in turns to film each other. I was wearing big, heavy Wellington boots, and that's my excuse, where at times I feel very jerky on the accelerator at times. But it was difficult with the Wellington boots on to be gentle on the accelerator, but also as well as that, whenever you got to a stage where you probably did need to be gentle, the car would rock from side to side, and of course your leg would just go down in it, and suddenly I'd be revving away. This bit, we had these ramps in the car, so we thought I'd just use it because it just seemed so that we could actually ground in the middle of the car there. So I know they come up and down again, but they do add an extra, I would say, an inch and a half maybe, to that side, just to stop them grinding in the middle. So I said this lane had a lot of really steep leans either way, but we'd got quite used to them by this stage. It was just the fact that some of them, it was so deep was the rut that you would just ground underneath the car. And there were lots of roots as well, and they take you up and down, and some of them are much bigger than others, and actually if you get on some of the big ones, you actually just slide sideways down them. I think it's an example of one of me with which I'm blaming the Wellingtons for. So going maybe a bit quicker than I needed to get over some of this. And you had to be a bit careful because there's a rock on the right and on the left. But gently press the throttle, and suddenly we're flying through it. I mean, all in all, I was actually really pleased by the performance of the Jeep. I said, other than the topsy-turvy, and look at that wheel of Chris's there, so far off the ground. And he does that really well because the traction control stops it moving, whilst the other one helps you move along. But then when that hits the ground, he hits it with some force, and if you still get foot and accelerator, then that's how you can break an axle sometimes, when traction control has held a wheel and then it hits the ground and moves. But he knows that, and he actually he was really gentle as it touched the ground here. He lifted off the accelerator so that actually wasn't turning. So it's an example of how much the leans were. And there was really boggy bits all the way through as well. But within the boggy bits, there were big ruts as well. So you're going in and out of the ruts. So it's added to the difficulty of it as you're going. And we were conscious the whole journey that there was absolutely not a single place that you could turn around on this lane. So there's no option. Once you go in one direction, you have to keep going that direction. You could not possibly reverse back down this lane. Definitely not. So whatever was coming up ahead of us, we knew we'd have to somehow sort it out. And there were quite a few stages. Chris was in the lead, and he would stop and say, we're not going to do the next bit. But here we are at the top. So this is very top of Pig Lane, and this is him starting to come down the side. Now that wheel is actually really off the ground on the left hand side. It doesn't look it because you think that there's a rock there, but there's not. We didn't film ourselves coming down other than the very end. So this is the end, or you could say the start of Pig Lane, so I just asked Chris just to film on the last bit. And I've taken the top part of the roof off at the front. It's called a freedom roof, but the back comes off as well. Because actually it was January in Wales and it wasn't raining, which was actually really quite nice. And that's Chris. Obviously he's not normally on the camera, but he's moving to the side as I'm coming down. So this is as we're coming down at the end of day 3, and very relieved that we did it. There's a big smile on my face as we go through there. So I was actually very pleased because we've never done it. And that's us in Doglethley afterwards. I had a lovely meal in there and a drink, and I think that's what I deserved.